So I will jump right in. Today, I'm going to cover the importance of why this training is critical to the understanding of the adult learning process. My name is Alan Guardado, and we are conducting this training to understand the importance of foundational literacies and why Petra Robinson's Critical Literacies Advancement Model, also known as CLAM, is the essential building block for adult learning. The great Martin Luther King Jr. was known to coin the phrase, "The foundation of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. One behavior can complement the other, which can ultimately affect an individual's attitude. The willingness to learn is an ongoing and repetitive achievement that one must strive for." The overview and description of this training is as follows. Foundational literacy derived from the mother tongue literacy, which is defined as an ability to identify, understand, interpret, communicate, and compute using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts in one's mother tongue or first native or home language. This is taken from reading for comprehension, reading for change with automatic recognition skills, vocabulary and structural knowledge, formal discourse structure knowledge, content, world background knowledge, synthesis and evaluation skills or strategies, metacognitive knowledge, and skills monitoring. The ability for human beings to understand and use what they are reading in day-to-day life, and also for a human's ability to use what they read in written text and apply it to everyday life, and also for a human being to write with purpose. The Critical Literacy Advancement Model, developed by Robinson, is a framework designed to disrupt bias and promote social justice through adult education. It functions as both a theoretical and practical tool for analyzing and challenging systemic inequities, power structures, and marginalization. The purpose of the foundational literacy is to structure learning as the social means for change through progression in critical literacy skills. It is derivative of the construct that continued development of critical literacy skills is particularly important to the advancement of other critical literacies. The overall learning outcome is to learn how this theory, as the basis of the CLAM model, which is rooted in critical theory and connected to the focuses on deliverance from dominion, subjugation, and equality. This connection allows critical literacy to act as a practical basis for using critical theory as a foundational model to use as a learning tool. What is reading and writing for purpose? Reading and writing for purpose is the basis that reading is fundamental. Human recognition of reading to connect the information to a message or purpose. To establish meaningful interaction with reading of text and matching it to an experience. Content versus context and how recognition applies to reading comprehension. Writing for context. Writing for context means writing for value and information, writing for purpose and to establish interaction and a connection. Writing for experience should be matched to reading comprehension. This training would enhance all employees' understanding of why continued education and knowledge about work and common practice is important to the work environment. This understanding would enhance the advancement model and explain that foundational structure is necessary. It would also give rise to critical literacy. This would also help the learner to understand that preparation for other learning and help with practical actability is important. It would also help to address societal problems and conflict, help to shape the thought process, and help all humans and workers to influence behavior while developing personal values in and out of work. The critical learning literacies advancement model assists with the understanding that it was 1. Established for social change, driven by informed decisions, behaviors, and action which reinforces critical literacy. 2. Uses practical literacy skills to increase learning potential. And 3. All 5 categories support the theory to enhance societies. Derived from critical theory also helps to understand that applying foundational tenets, reviewing the dynamics of power, and examining social justice will help in this process. Teaching the critical literacies advancement model, the importance of foundational theories and how they feed on each other, one can do this by setting up a classroom environment with a group setting of no more than 20 students and a facilitator with clear, logical flow of the material. One will need the essential structure, which calls for resources such as projector, laptop, or desktop, handouts, slide and presentation design, and knowing the audience. One has to have a confident delivery, followed by a preparation checklist, and then at the end, you can conduct a training session. Evaluation plan. How do we measure the success of this training? At the end of your session, one thing to do is you can ask your students for feedback and input. What was covered during the presentation? Maybe have a breakout session to test the students' knowledge. Also, request the students' application of the knowledge. What did they learn? Show me what you learned. Were the predetermined goals achieved? And how did the students feel about the material being covered? All are great resources to establish the evaluation plan. Conclusion. In retrospect, the critical literacies were discussed to connect the importance of foundational literacy, which is encompassed by basic reading, writing, numeracy, and currently digital skills. This understanding is critical for adult learning as it functions as the opening gateway to personal, economic, and social empowerment. It is a critical component of how adults learn individually, as these skills are not purely academic. It is a process of identifying the necessary tools required to navigate daily life, secure employment, improve health, with opportunities in future education and training.